Okay, so we have added some ambience and uh, sustaining melodic elements. Now we're going to switch to the one-shot occasional melodic elements. First, we can start with those little trills that are in the track. I made these from scratch. I don't remember what synth I used, but for this we're just going to use Anna again. Real easy. So for this, it was more about the processing and the actual patch. But I wanted to have these sort of descending and ascending melodic trills like down the scale. So I just drew out the notes. We'll do one for descending and one for ascending. So if we make an initialized patch, pretty simple, just a saw wave kind of thing. We don't really need to do much more than that because it's going to be more about the processing, but we can definitely add a second voice, add an octave up. Yeah, the sync also will give it a little bit of that like high-end harmonics that you can't really get otherwise. We could even try doing some like high-pass filter resonance to get it like extra sharp up there. And then only blend like half of it in with the filter. Okay, I think that's a pretty good start. Let's see how that sounds when we add the processing. So I'll do the ascending one sort of as close as possible as the way that I did it. And then with the ascending one, we'll use stock presets just to show you how it's possible with both. Though I do, no matter what you learn from this, I really recommend buying Echo Boy. It's so useful. It just sounds so good too. So we can do like a space echo emulation, crank up the feedback, get some of the lows out of there. So I like that, but it's a little too crunchy maybe. Yeah, that's a little harsher, which I kind of want because we're going to drown it out in reverb anyway. So after that, we can put on a compressor to bring that tail up. So what I'm doing here is by compressing it, we're basically saying, okay, push down the peaks by 5 decibels and then bring everything up 5. So the peaks are going to stay the same while the stuff below that is actually going to be brought up 5 decibels. So you're sort of evening out the whole sound and making the quieter parts louder. So you can see how it sort of trails on forever. We don't want it to trail on literally forever, so we'll put a gate so it can eventually die out. So I like that. So it might seem like counterintuitive almost to compress it and then gate it, but we're basically having it so the tail stays thick and loud the entire time and then just fades out rather than it being a slow fade out right from the beginning. So now we can put some reverb on it. I used Vintage Verb again. I really love this preset, Boards of Reverb. It's like a Boards of Canada play on words, I guess. We don't want it that extreme though. It's just really highly modulated, chorusy reverb. Yes, I think that sounds really cool. And we can EQ it. Oops. EQ it for measure. And we'll probably even want a filter on it. We can drive it a little bit. So that's a pretty cool sound. You would think we're done here, but actually we've only just started. What we're gonna do is resample that, reverse it, and it's gonna make it 10 times cooler. So if we take the audio from that channel, let's call this down trill. We'll do it post FX, arm it, and then record. Now we can reverse it. Let's see how that sounds. Cool. I like that a lot. So to elevate it even more, we might want to trail off that, like the driest part of it, and then put some ping pong delay on that. So it builds reverse delay and then keeps on going with another delay. And we could even get really crazy and just put another reverb on that. In fact, let's just duplicate what we already have. So that gives us some nice options. We don't need it to be as long for cool effects. So let's name this. So we reversed it, so now it's actually upwards. And we'll call that like mid filter. Now if we were to do it again, but have the filter all the way open, this will be like the super bright one. And it's always useful to sort of just let it run out as much as you want, or as much as you can. And that way you can sort of fade it in as you see fit, rather than be constrained to like exactly how long the clip is. So we'll reverse that one as well. Call that up high filter. So just so you can see the difference. One's a lot fizzier, a lot brighter. And then let's record one more. And I should mention that this is sort of the mentality. This is like sort of like the analog mentality where you're recording takes and using the audio rather than like sticking with the MIDI. And I think that's a really big part of making more interesting creative sounds, is actually recording the audio and then manipulating it that way. All right, let's color code these two. High will be greenish, and then low will be grayish. We'll call that up, low. So now we have 3 different filter tones for this ascending reverse. Cool. So let's put those aside. And now we'll do the opposite. Instead of Echo Boy and Valhalla, we can just replace this with stock ones. So we'll do a ping pong delay. I should say one thing I like to do with the ping pong delay is narrow the width a little bit. I don't always do this, but it's dangerous to have like a full 100% ping pong on it because then you're getting like purely stuff on the left and pure on the right. If you bring it down to 80, it's a little more mono compatible, and if someone happens to be listening on like one headphone, they won't just miss an entire part of it. And for reverb, we can do maybe, see what outer space sounds like. That's a little too extreme. I think that sounds pretty good. So now we'll do the same thing, record 3 takes, one with the filter all the way up. And keep in mind, we're hearing, what we're hearing has the effects of this channel as well on it. So like we can mute that just to hear what it sounds like coming straight from the audio, or the MIDI. Oops, let's bring the filter down to like 4 again. Yeah, nice, you get some cool like feedback sounds. We'll call this down high. Oh. Down mid. And then the last one. Yeah, so when we change the filter, it's not hitting the compressor as hard. So we're not getting the same effect as we were before, but it's not that big of a deal. Don't have to get perfect with it. Okay, and I'll color code these: low, medium, and high. Okay, so we'll mute this and bring it to the bottom. We don't really need it anymore, but just in case for later. And time to arrange these. So I already forgot which is which. The lighter color is low. Okay, let's make this a little more obvious. So we obviously want to start the track with these lower filters, the lower filtered ones. We don't want to give it away all at once. Let's put our delay back on and our reverb. And then maybe we'll do the upwards mid here, like halfway through. Quick shortcut tip, minus and plus on your keyboard. Super useful. Get these out of here. Okay, maybe we do another one right before the breakdown, but this time it's the highest one. Doesn't sound like the breakdown because we haven't done any other automation yet, but just to pretend for now. I think the breakdown could be a good time to do a bunch of them. Maybe we do, actually maybe we, not the pre-break, the breakdown, yeah. Then we could do one here. So maybe we actually make this a mid. And then the first time we hear the full filtered one is during the breakdown, which really makes it special. We could do it again right here maybe. And then maybe like a mid before the drop, because we'll have a bunch of other high-end stuff happening. We don't need to overwhelm people. Let's make these all right on the grid. See how this sounds. So I like that I like how the down sounds, but I think it's not really what I want. It's what I want is like I want it to start from nothing and then travel down. So I think what I actually want is that original MIDI trill. So if we were to mute this ascending one, we'll just put it up front for now. And now if we put this off so we don't get any interference, maybe put it like here. Unmute it. Yes, I think that's what we want, is we really want it to not be reversed. Yeah, so that's cool. So for the upward ascending ones, we'll do the reverse. It's more of a sweep, and then these are more of like a one shot. So we can actually bring this back up, let them live together. So we'll call that down trill, and then we'll call this up trill. Now, where else should we put them? Once the drop happens, we could probably have one another 4 here. We'll just mute these for now, bring them to the end. Maybe another one before the last verse, before the pre-break there. And maybe we'll do a high at that 2.5 when the melody comes back in here. Then maybe another low when we get to the outro. All right, that's a pretty good start. We can always add more or take away, which will probably end up happening. Maybe we'll do something, another one here. Let's see. It's a little too quiet. Let's bring that up. Cool. So I'm actually gonna make that even more wet. Yeah, so it's a little too low in the filter, so we'll bring a medium. Gotta change my processor again. Okay. So we're not really hearing that down trill, which is what we want. So what happens if we sidechain it? Or we could even just get rid of the ping pong delay. Yes, I think it's just because this is so much quieter. Yeah, so maybe we'll just automate the ping pong delay on and off depending on what's coming after it, if we're reversing into another one or something like that. Okay. Let's add a couple more of these throughout the song. Maybe some more in the breakdown. It's actually going to be a pretty busy area, so maybe we don't need it there. Probably do it. So we move it up an octave and then we shift it over so the last note is actually hitting on the downbeat. That could sound cool. Yeah, I like that. I'm gonna just consolidate it a little bigger so we can grab it from farther away. Maybe one more of these here. Spot we want it. So now that we know that, maybe what's here? Yeah, cool. So yeah, don't always assume that like right on the downbeat is the right move. Sometimes you want to have it fit into the groove a little more, which is what we're doing right here. Okay, so maybe we'll do it here too. Yeah, so it's like as it's trailing off is right when the next phrase starts, so it's almost being used as like a fill. Okay, so we've done some trills. I think the next step is, where's our lead synth? So here, we have it just repeating that one note. So if you remember the song, it's every phrase, it actually copies that little turnaround. So let's do that. That guy's not on the grid, so that's not coming. Sometimes you have to get surgical. Make sure you don't miss anything like that. So notice I moved this here just because we don't need it overlapping with that special part of the riff. there. We'll see how it comes back later. Okay, so that's good. We could probably even bring this out more and automate the speaker off again, so we just have that verb. Let's get that up there. Really subtle, nothing crazy. Next, I say we add a little bit to the intro again, just to sort of tease that first lead. So what I'm thinking is we bounce some of it, so we can go post FX. Oops, that's muted, so I'll have to do it here. And now, let's cut it up. Oops. Okay, so that's going to be the idea. I think I'm actually going to wait till later because we want to get an accurate filter and envelope setting for like where the track is at that point. So it's actually going to be a lot more toned down. So we can even just do that now and just bring it down. Just to make it easier, we can just cut the rest out for now. Okay. Let's get rid of that delay too. I think that's pretty good. Cool. So now, cut that, bring it back, and rather than have that open filter one, we'll have a much softer one. That's sounding good. What can we do to make it a little more interesting? We can take that first note, copy, paste, reverse it, and then fade it in. Let's make sure there's no like rough cut. Yeah, so that they both end on the line, so we don't really need to fade it because it's not going to cause any clicks. So now maybe we alternate between the regular and the reverse. Yeah, so that sounds great. Okay, so I think that's a nice little intro. We'll call that intro lead. That'll come in handy. just to tease that initial part. And I think the last thing we can do here is add some like transitional melodic thing. What I did was on my Korg mini log, it has built-in delay, and I made this patch that was pretty abrasive, like a big saw wave, like trancey patch almost, and then just cranked the feedback up on the delay so that it fed back into itself until it created like this really loud, like nasty sounding feedback. And I actually sampled it so you guys can use it. This is what it sounded like. Turn that down. So that's just like excessive delay feedback. But what I did was reverse it and kind of use it as this transitional tool. Fade it even. We'll bring this down too so it doesn't clip once we add processing. Yeah. So it's sounding pretty good. We'll add some reverb to it because it's a sweep. And you can EQ it as well. Oh, not that much. We can do a ping pong delay too. Okay, cool. So we can use that a couple times. For the first drop, we can do it into the first pre-break. We can do it before that last verse, and maybe right before the final verse, or the big drop. Let's bring this back up so we can get a better feel for what it sounds like. I'm thinking we might need to compress this guy too. The tail comes off too quickly. Could also bring the dry wet up. That barely moves the needle. Okay. That'll help with the sustain. So let's call this feedback sweep. And now we have done all of our like sustained ambiances and our one-shot effects. So we've got pretty much all the melodic and musical elements we need. Now I think it's just a matter of adding like transitional effects and doing the automation and, you know, kind of turning it into a full track. So next we'll work on building the tension in each of those transitions and the breakdown and build up.